Okay, seeing it's 6:30, I'd like to call to order the July 8th, 2019 meeting of the Heritage Preservation Board. We'd like to start by asking everyone to silence their cell phones if you have them with you, and introduce all the board members and people that are sitting up here, starting with Kim.
Kimberly Other, Secretary to the Board.
Bill Sprecher.
Laura Milford, Board Member.
Carrie Page, Board Member.
Carol Johnson, Chair.
Patrick Perez, Board Attorney.
Pat McNeese, Principal Planner.
We have a roll call
Ms. Johnson,
here.
Ms. Page,
Here.
Ms. Milford,
Here.
Ms. Cornell, Ms. Hallett, Mr. Sprecher.
Here.
Okay, so now is the time for any public comments. If there's anyone here that would like to speak on some subject that's not related to any of the 4 cases that are here. Okay, seeing no one come forward, can we go forward with the approval of the minutes? Do I hear a motion? The minutes of the June 3rd meeting, 2019.
I move that the June 3rd minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
Oh,
Mr. Sprecher,
Yes.
Ms. Milford,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
yes.
Ms. Page.
Yes.
Rick, do we have a quasi-judicial announcement?
This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the Heritage Preservation Board acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At a quasi-judicial hearing, it is not the board's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the board is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The board may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the board is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that this applicant has failed to meet the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the board is required by law to find against the applicant. Are there any members of the board tonight that are wishing to disclose an ex parte communication or conflicts of interest? Anyone that is going to be speaking tonight, you think you may speak, if you could please stand, raise your right hand to be sworn in. Any applicants or anyone that you think you may speak? Yeah. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So sworn.
Okay.
Chair, would you like me to make an announcement because there's only 4 members tonight?
Yes.
Okay. If any members or any applicants tonight, because there is not a full board, full board consists of 5. We do have a quorum because we have 4 members. However, you will need 3 affirmative votes to pass. So if any applicant wishes before their application to continue it to another hearing, they may do so. Otherwise, it'll just proceed.
Yes, I'd like to do that. My name's Bill Sprecher.
Okay, so so you're applicant number 19-20, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so with you not voting, with the other board as an applicant, not as a board member, is requesting that his application be continued. So the board, you don't have to vote on that. You can just say so.
Okay, so application 90-20 will be continued until the date of the August meeting.
August the 8th, I want to say.
August what?
Maybe she's checking.
It's either the 5th or the 12th.
August 5th.
Okay, till the August 5th meeting of 2019. Okay, then let's proceed to application 19-60, 304 West Lime Street, placement of a fence on a contributing property.
And yes, this is a request to place a new fence on a contributing property at 304 West Lime Street. This is a colonial revival structure of brick, according to the master site file. It's the property surrounded by an existing concrete block site wall, and the applicant proposes to add a wood fence behind the site wall along the northern and eastern property lines. The placement of the fence would be behind the block wall, so putting the post into the ground and having the wood fence come up above the block wall, but installed behind the block wall, so that the total height from grade, including the block and wood portions, would be 6 feet. The wood structure will not be attached to the block wall, but supported by posts. The fence will run the length of the rear or north property line, that's 115 feet, and it will run along the east property line at Shattuck Street, along that side for about 72 feet. And the full wood fence will be connected to the residence on both the east and west sides to enclose the rear and side yard in that area. It would not interfere with the front view of the home or significantly affect the streetscape views from that area. Going over to item 7 on page 3 of the staff report, I've listed some of the most relevant portions of the design guidelines that apply to this fence proposal. The master site file describes a concrete block site wall with brick piers and a metal rail, which you can see in some of the photographs that were provided. The applicant's desire is to enclose that rear yard and shield it from view, especially from the back, I believe, and the applicant is here and can talk to that. That's understandable. The applicant does not want to disturb the block wall, try to build on it or attach something to it. So this was the proposal that is before you tonight. The rear block wall does not have the rail feature, only the side and the front. So the rear is just concrete blocks. With respect to the fence design, the applicant proposes a board-on-board horizontal design. We're using 6-inch boards spaced about 8 feet apart. And the wood material, as far as that aspect of the guidelines, is not something that is used on the property, on the principal structure or the wall. So it would be a different type of material that's being proposed. The fence technically would meet the standards of the Land Development Code. You can't have a 6-foot fence up to the front yard setback. So it meets that, and it meets basically the comprehensive plan with respect to the dimensional and placement standards for a fence. This application was noticed and there were no responses received. And staff is recommending that the applicant present his project and that you discuss it. We feel that there could be something accommodated along that back line, property line, perhaps. We feel that the Shattuck side, just the difference in materials with the fence, it would be a fence of 2 materials, and the fact that the proposed wood material is not consistent with the rest of the property makes the Shattuck Street side difficult to accommodate. So we would recommend that there be a discussion, and perhaps there are some other options, or perhaps the applicant can explain their approach to the project.
Any of the board members have questions for staff?
No.
We hear from the applicant.
Hi, my name is Khalid Enia from 304 West Lime Street. The idea behind the fence I was trying to build is someone behind us used to be 2 garage. He started building a house there, and seemed like we are no more having privacy there. and I think should be no issue to build fence there. With the side, the shadow street, the idea we have is just to have some privacy in back and go to basically almost 4 feet and 30-inch high above the wall. And the fence, the board and board horizontal fence will be not attached on the wall. We're gonna have the 4x4 poles digging the hole in the ground and having the fence originally attached to the wall and going basically from the top of the wall up down. So basically from the back, like you see in the picture we just have today, we just built sample there and a post there. It's not the real one, the high, just to have an idea how it's gonna look like. To have, so you will see from the back, from shadows, from the shadow street, you will see the metal from outside going to the wall already exists there, and the fence will be basically in top of and be not attached to the wall. So, from my opinion, it's not gonna. It will match, I guess, the colonial style of the house, and the wood material we choose. I think it's kind of from color out. We are not gonna use any color on the wood. We're just gonna seal it to have it, match the house. And yeah, if you have any further question for material we're gonna use, be glad to have.
Well, I think you addressed this, but I just wanted some clarification because it's not obvious in the pictures that you've provided here. The wood will go all the way down to the level of the wall, right? There won't
Yes,
be this
exactly.
gap.
Yes, correct.
But the metal rail will still be there.
We're still there. Yeah, we're not taking that out.
Okay.
So you'll be able to see it from this side street.
And then the panel on top of the pillar, what will happen when we have these pillars here?
Yeah, we're gonna have the fence basically not directed a little bit, a couple inches far from the wall to have this corner there going all the way straight. So we don't have to be close to the wall. I mean, if there are any issue there, we are flexible. We can work something else. But the idea was just to go in a couple inches over the wall so we can have everything in one line.
Had you looked at other options for materials so that it would be more consistent with the property as it is now? Had you looked at other options?
Yeah, the other option was the vinyl, the white vinyl. But I think the vinyl with the house, with colonial style, my idea, my opinion, me, my wife, I think it's not gonna match that good. And wood material, I think it's contemporary design, it's horizontal fence. It will match, I guess, better than vinyl, the metal vinyl, the white vinyl ones. And
So one of the specific items in the design guidelines is that a long continuous span over 50 feet shall contain some form of architectural relief, such as a pattern break or use of columns or a mix of solid and open spaces. And I don't see that you've addressed that here, and both Shattuck Street and behind your house would be spans in excess of 50 feet.
in front side of the house. Yeah, I mean that I was talking to Mrs. Pat. If it's a big issue, would be to go the whole side by Shattuck Street. We can just go from, like I said, just from the corner of the house, which is 36.5 feet from the front side to the house. We can ignore the one. We don't have to build fence for the side there if it's a big issue. So we can just go from there to the end of to the back of the house. If that's
Okay, but what about the back span? That is apparently 115 feet, so that also is in excess of the 50 feet.
in front side of the left side or in the back?
No, the back.
No,
The rear north property line.
the rear part. Yeah, actually there we are trying to build a fence there. Actually, if I understand, you're right. No.
Right, but it says a span over 50 feet is supposed to be broken up in some way so that it's not just one continuous span, and you've got 115 feet there, I believe.
115 feet. Trees, I don't have that here.
So, may staff be recognized at this point? So, just to kind of clarify, and we've accepted, you know, the guidelines do specifically talk about board-on-board for, like some of the more, like wood structures and that, as something that breaks up the plane. Usually those are vertical board-on-board. This one's a horizontal. I guess the question I would ask you is, are you thinking if he broke up that pattern, say he did something different every few feet or something, that it might be more acceptable? That's I'm not sure he understands what you're asking as far as breaking the pattern up. We've had people with vinyl fences do vinyl for a while, then the lattice panels for you know, as an accent to break it up. We've had people put things on the fence. We've had, you know, people do sometimes cutouts in the, so I guess the question is, if would you be amenable to breaking up just the expanse of this design board on board every so often with some sort of pattern break?
To add on like vinyl panel, you mean, or?
No, I'd be thinking more like the lattice or some kind of hole in it, you know, or something that would just
Between?
keep it from 115 feet of the same.
Okay. They have like,
You might be able to break up instead of having horizontal, have one panel vertical. That'd be all right.
Oh,
You
I
have the
mean, that would at
horizontal
least give
all the way
some-
across. Every, you know, 2 or 3 lengths, put a panel of vertical.
vertical. Oh, okay. Good change.
That
Yeah.
might break it up.
Yeah. Yeah, with no problem if we have to do that. Sure.
The existing chain link is going to be removed and then replaced with this? Is
No,
that correct?
no, it can stay there and on top of the wall. Yeah. The 110 inches is over the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna stay
So
there.
the chain link, but the chain link fence, it's going to be above, so the chain link's going to be on the outside.
We don't have no chain link
I
there.
thought
There's chain link next door to the
Oh,
north.
next door.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, and part of in the staff report, I did kind of drive up and down to see what other fences. There's an older chain link there. There's a fence across the street, but most of the properties don't have fences at the front anyway.
Okay, I
But-
misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I have a question. When you look at the design review guide, number 4 and number 7, and number 4 reads, the use of multiple fencing materials and styles creates a piecemeal effect which detracts from the character of the house and district, and it is prohibited. But when you read number 7, it says chain link fencing, which is non-historical fence type, is not recommended. However, vinyl created chain link in combination with landscaping can be compatible. So if this is considered multi-fencing with the concrete and the board by board like you're doing here, could you consider the vinyl and some landscaping in lieu of this?
Vine landscaping.
I did not hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. Yeah, there's been option too. Just like I said, the vinyl. I don't think the vinyl will have. I mean, they will affect the character of the house, of the looking of the house. My opinion is because the vinyl you see it now everywhere. Any house, any modern house, any different design, different architect, they have this. Most they use vinyl one, and it's colonial style. I think kind of wood material would give more character to the house.
I know, but I was looking at the design guidelines that we need to follow, and that kind of conflicts
Definitely,
with
yeah,
the
yeah,
board on board, in my opinion.
yeah. Because
A compromise may be, the Shattuck Road, you know, against the Shattuck, Avenue.
Road, yeah.
Yeah, road. That's the main one where you have two fence styles together. Okay, what do you think about moving a wooden fence back maybe 10, 15 feet, give you a space in there, then you can put in some plants or whatever to kind of, and it still leaves that brick, because a brick is unique to the house.
Of course.
And that's a standalone, then that would accent that brick, the existing brick, a little bit better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Something to
I'd like to go one step further and ask if you consider eliminating the wood on Shattuck Street.
Eliminating the wood.
I think that's
And what would be the option? What we have to do there?
pardon?
What's the other option if we would eliminate the wood? Sorry.
Leave the fence or the brick wall that's there, Shattuck Street,
Oh.
which is it's most visible from.
It's actually no brick wall. It's just a regular wall.
Okay, well,
Yeah. It just.
wall.
Yeah.
Well, if he moves it back, let's say 15 foot, it separates the two fences
Yeah,
now,
I just
and he still gives
I
them the privacy.
Right.
They have some
think I
privacy
care
there.
for that look on.
Yeah. We're gonna have a smaller backyard.
Yeah, you
Right.
have a smaller backyard, but
It's another option. Okay. And has to be 10 feet back.
oh
from,
no.
1 feet is enough.
That's just a suggestion.
Right.
know.
Okay.
Some,
Yeah.
we're just throwing out ideas.
Yeah, I mean, that's what staff asked us to give you some suggestions.
Right.
That's what we're trying
Thank
to
you.
do. Any other comments?
I think that if it was not so, it's 6 feet, and 6 feet of this material, for me, it's a big contrast to the colonial style. There's a lot of vinyl fences there that might match the trim of the home, the shutters in the home, draw out the other features of the home. I don't see that this type of fence will accentuate any positive, complement the house in any way, in my opinion. In fact, I feel like it might even take away from the beauty of this home. And I don't think it's consistent with the review guideline. Sorry.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant?
No, so far I guess it's okay. So good, no.
See, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this case? So I'm a little bit
Got one more
not
thing
sure.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Just to, I don't know if I can say this, bring it out, but you can go to, if you want to redesign and rethink this, go on for continuance now and then come back next month, rather than having a vote tonight.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so we have basically to forget the board, the horizontal designed wood fence, trying to this with different kind of material. That's the idea we're gonna have, basically.
Okay.
Right? Or we
So may I ask the board a couple of questions? First, as far as the back wall, do the board members make a distinction between the back and the Shattuck Street side?
I think
And
we
if
should.
so, would do you feel that what would be acceptable would be different for each of those? And I guess what I want to find out is is this proposal as it stands tonight, would any portion of that be acceptable? So I guess we could take a motion on part or all of the project or a modified project. The second choice would be for the applicant to obtain sufficient guidance to go back and redesign the project and come back.
I have one more question. I went out and looked at the property, but right now I cannot recall if that back wall, where the backyard is concrete, or is that fence, cyclone fence, and it's going the wooden wall on top of that, or if it's all cinder block wall all the way around the entire house.
It's a block wall all the way around. The
Okay.
back does not have the metal rail,
Okay.
only block. Yeah.
I didn't
and-
remember seeing the metal rail on the back, but I could not remember whether or not that was fence or if that was block.
Mhm. Block.
I think the fence should be broke up in two, because the part that has me concerned is the one on Shattuck. Okay, the back, you know, I have no problem with your design on that. But when you're facing the street, and the house is gorgeous, you know, I've gone by there, it's really, really nice. And having a high fence, particularly going to the front of the house, is gonna take a lot away from that house, you know? If you back the fence up or do a redesign on that side somehow, where you keep the character of the brick fence by the road and still show off the house, you know, and be more consistent with the house, it would probably work with me.
Okay.
So I'm also amenable to looking at a motion regarding the back wall, as long as you also did something to break up the pattern in some way for the 115 feet.
Okay.
That could either be with section lattice every 50 feet, or, you know, running the boards in a different direction, or something that would just,
To break it.
that up
Okay,
a
sure,
little bit.
definitely. Yeah, we can talk about that. Okay.
even Pat's idea of hanging something on the wall, something that would just make it not look like a continuous 115 feet of board.
15. Okay.
But I'm less amenable to the chat.
Okay. And the back wall be no issue to have this kind of fence built there for the back,
I'm sorry,
the back side from the house.
I'm talking about the rear of the
Right.
property.
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
But the other sides will be no issue to use the same material for the back of the house.
The Shattuck Street is an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So, so you're saying that if your approval is that, I mean, you would approve the Shattuck Street, but then with these materials, but then if they
No,
change,
just-
No.
okay,
I
Did I
would
miss
just- I'd approve the back wall
okay.
Back row. Yeah.
with some break.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then come up with a different option for the Shattuck.
For the shadow. Yeah.
Which in my mind might include landscape.
I think so too.
Landscaping. Okay.
I said, my idea on Shattuck might include landscaping.
Yeah, I would love
rather
to do too.
something
Just
solid.
it's not easy to find something high, 6 feet high, and they are so skinny, thin. I mean, we wasn't ideal. Maybe that's the only option we might go with it. Yeah.
So now, do we want to separate the two and vote on that?
Well, that's what Pat was asking, if we were amenable to that.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you can.
I'm agreeable.
I mean, they could freeze their motion.
Yeah,
It's broken up.
I mean, you can vote on that, you know, but because it's one application, it may be prudent for you to vote on it holistically. You can put conditions, you can separate it in the motion, but it is still one applicant, so I'm not sure there'd be any issues with voting on this applicant and then the applicant coming back under the same application.
So it might have to be a new application.
Correct, and I'm not sure about that, so yeah.
It would.
So
In fact, I was just looking into Patrick's point. Your standards say, let's see, board shall make, if you deny an application, or in this case, I guess, a partial application, if you do go that route, Board shall make recommendations to the applicant concerning changes, if any, that would cause the board to reconsider denial and shall attempt to resolve the differences. Applicant may amend an application in order to provide for the recommendations of the board. So that makes it sound like they could actually vote on a denial, state reasons, and then the applicant could amend the same application.
That is correct. So that is one option. The other option is that you've given him enough, or the applicant enough stuff that you want to change, that you just continue it, and then he can amend it. I mean, you have a couple options. So it might be just.
Is it up to us to, or?
Well,
or
it
should
could be, he can request you to continue it.
Continue, right,
Otherwise, he has the right for you to vote on it tonight.
gotcha, okay.
Okay.
So
And
is that
Patrick,
clear?
just-
You can take all of our comments and recommendations and ask for a continuance and come back next month with a change to your design that reflects those comments.
Yeah.
Or you can ask us to vote on it.
Mm.
And just a clarification, Patrick, on this section. I guess when it says the applicant may amend, that could be here tonight,
Correct.
or, yeah.
Correct. The applicant could amend it tonight and say all the changes, or you can also condition it where you only approve X, Y, and Z. So you have a few options.
Okay.
But because the applicant is here tonight, it may be best just just for best practice to do it in a way that everyone can move forward with.
Okay.
But the board has options, and so does the applicant.
Okay. Okay, then it would be okay if we get approved for the back wall to build this kind of fence, just for the back part of the application, and the side there, the side of shadow strike, maybe we think something else, or maybe we go with the plant to find an easy way to have this solved. If we can today just get approval for, I mean, if you guys.
So what could happen, and I'm not saying it will, but what could happen is the applicant is asking for the fence around his property. So if you only allow it on the back fence, you're effectively denying his application for the other part. So he will be allowed to build whatever you say he can build, and he cannot build anything else. Meaning you would have to, if you have to come back and get the rest of the part if you so choose.
Right, for the shadow straight with the issue.
However, and would that be a new application at that point? or-
I'm not sure. I think it would.
What was the question?
So if
What-
they only approve
Oh.
part of it and deny the other part, would it be a new application?
I mean, yeah, normally I would say it would be. Yeah, so,
So one other point of clarification, if he chose to put landscape on the side, he doesn't have to come before the board
that's
to
correct.
put landscape.
Okay.
All right,
But
does-
I didn't hear that one part.
if he chooses to put landscaping only on the Shattuck side, he does not have to come before the board for
Right,
approval.
yep.
And one other option, one other question. If the back is approved with one material only, and after reviewing it further to get approval for Shattuck Street side, materials change, that original approval that is null and void?
No.
No?
No, and that's why it may be prudent to do this all in one,
Right.
but because you're going to have different things, and
Mhm.
whatever you approve will run with this property.
Okay.
So
Yes, assuming the applicant builds the rear fence, he will then, as Patrick's saying, have to deal with what he's got there when he comes to ask for the next piece.
right, and you wouldn't be able to change anything that you already approved, but if he wanted to change anything at that point, then he would have to have a new vote, if that makes sense.
Okay, with all of those clarifications and conditions, make?
Someone has to make the motion, or you'll have to pass the gavel and make the motion yourself here.
I would make a motion that we approve the fence on the rear of the property with the caveat that it be broken up every 15 feet in some manner, and and to not approve the fencing on Shattuck Street and offer landscaping as an alternative.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second, yeah, go ahead.
Second it.
Record, second. Okay.
Can you get, sorry, staff has a quick clarification.
Just clarification, what was the distance broken up every
Every
Fi-
50 feet,
50.
which is what,
15? Every 50.
50, 50.
50.
Every
50.
50.
Kim, can we have a roll call?
Sure. Mr. Sprecher,
Yes.
Ms. Milford,
Yes,
Ms. Page,
No.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Okay, so what happened tonight is your application was approved only in so much as what the chair just said, the back wall.
Backward. Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for working with me about that. I guess.
Okay, congratulations. Make sure you get your building permit. Okay, the next application is 19-65, 121 North Gross Avenue, placement of a driveway on a contributing property. Staff report?
And this is a request for a new driveway at 121 North Gross Avenue. This is a frame vernacular structure, contributing property. And there is currently no driveway on the property, and the applicant proposes to place a new paver driveway on the property. With respect to the analysis, the driveway will be placed on the north side. It's basically a minimal driveway, starting at 10 feet wide at the right-of-way line, narrowing to 6.7 feet. Other driveways on this block in this area of North Gross Avenue are generally a narrow concrete or paver construction driveways, and the applicant is proposing the brick-style paver for the driveway. The property already has an existing sidewalk consisting of brick or brick-style pavers. I'm not sure, I didn't walk on it to see if it was actual brick, but the applicant is here. The driveways along, again, this area of Gross Avenue have both materials, concrete and paver. And the driveway as proposed does not detract from this contributing property or the neighborhood. It conforms with the Land Development Code and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And it seems to be preferable to driving and parking on the grass, which is what the applicant is doing now. Staff is recommending approval of this request. It was properly noticed and there were no responses received to the notice.
Any questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Would you come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please?
Maria Schultz, 121 North Gross Avenue, Tarpon Springs.
And do you have anything to add to staff's report?
I have a nice picture I can show you.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones that.
right.
Here.
Can I send an email? Okay.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for the applicant? I just had a couple. I understand there's a brick sidewalk, is that correct? Is it brick? or
It's
paver?
stamped concrete.
That's stamped concrete, and how will it match that?
I'm going to try and get it to match as closely as possible or integrate them so they,
So they blend together.
yeah.
Any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against this application? Okay. Entertain a motion?
I move that application 1965 be approved as submitted.
Second?
I second. I second.
Milford. Roll call?
Mr. Sprecher,
Yes.
Ms. Milford,
Yes.
Ms. Page,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, make sure you get a building permit. Okay, the next application is 19-66, 22 North Safford Avenue, placement of 3 new signs. Property is non-historic, non-contributing. Staff report?
So this is a request to place 1 freestanding and 2 wall signs on this property. The property is listed as vacant on the Tarpon Springs Historic District map. The building that's on the property was moved from outside the historic district. And so the property has no status with respect to the district. Going to page 3 of the staff report, for the analysis of the signs, the freestanding sign is to be a hanging sign supported by a post of about 5 feet in height, placed in the front yard, and to be of wood construction. The applicant's also proposing 1 aluminum wall sign to be placed over the porch entrance and 1 non-illuminated cabinet sign to be placed on the south side of the building, and that sign will be aluminum with a vinyl face. The signs seem to be professional looking and understated and consistent with the historic district. All the signs appear to conform to the land development code and consistent with the comprehensive plan, and staff is recommending approval of this request to place 3 new signs on the property. And this application was properly noticed and there were no comments received.
Any questions for staff? Well, I got kind of confused when I saw this. So the property has no status, but it's in the historic district, so
All signs have to come before you.
is that what it is? Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
The applicant asked the same question. Yeah.
And so do the combination of signs then have to be within the size limitation for signs?
The freestanding has a separate size limitation, and then the wall signs, they have a separate one too, and they're
Okay.
all well within those guidelines.
The applicant here? State your name and address, please, for the record.
Rich Lundahl, representing CKRH Properties. Address is 9217 Brindlewood Drive, Odessa, Florida.
Do you have anything that you'd like to add to the staff report?
No, but I too was confused because we did a pretty extensive renovation that didn't have to come to you guys, and then we got to the sign part of it, and I'm not a sign guy. I own the property and I also work in the property, and we had a sign subcontractor that didn't understand this process, and so that's why I'm here as the owner, to make sure that it happens. So we had an opening 2 months ago, ribbon cutting, that we used my vinyl hanging sign lashed to the front porch until we got this approval. So that's where we are.
Well, it's a beautiful building, even though it's
Thank you.
not
I hope you've enjoyed it, and
historic to our district. It's the lovely additions.
yeah, we're really proud of the work that Eddie Hoffman did, and Robin Hancock was my contractor, and so it exceeded my expectations, and we're really proud of it. So,
Any questions for the applicant?
No.
Can I entertain a motion?
I make a motion to
Real quick,
approve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just for
Yeah,
public comment
yeah.
just in
Is there
case.
anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment either for or against this proposal? Sorry.
No.
Okay, I make a motion to approve 1966 as submitted for 22 North Safford Avenue on the new signs.
Second?
Second it.
Record second. Roll call?
Mr. Sprecher,
Yes.
Ms. Milford,
Yes.
Ms. Page,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Staff comments? Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much for your time.
No staff comments tonight.
Please come by and visit us on First Friday or anytime you'd like
Okay.
to, so.
Did anyone on the board have a comment?
No.
Well, I'd like to welcome Bill Sprecher as a new alternate member of the board.
Alternate,
We're
yeah.
glad to have him here. Any other comments?
I should say that, I know Mr. Sprecher continued your application, but I know that I'm going to be absent.
Mm.
Oh,
We won't have,
Well,
will she be back?
she may be
She
back,
will,
but I'm
but
gonna
still
be
won't be
gone.
a full board.
we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. No.
Okay. Seeing nothing further to discuss, I'll adjourn this meeting at 7:17.
Yeah, I had that. I wanna make sure she still has it, cause I told her that when I